Commander Zethkar studied the tactical display with satisfaction, his four eyes gleaming in the dim light of the command bridge. The humans' final stronghold on Kepler 442b lay before them, a pathetic collection of prefabricated structures huddled against the planet's northern mountains. After 18 months of systematic conquest, this was all that remained of their once proud colony. Biological scans confirm 847 humans remain inside the perimeter, reported his tactical officer, mandibles clicking with anticipation. Their defensive grid is failing. Power levels at 37% and dropping. Zethkar's scaled lips curled into what his species considered a smile. When the Dominion had first encountered humans 3 years ago, their xenobiologists had been puzzled. How had such a fragile species ever achieved interstellar travel? Humans possessed no natural armor, no enhanced senses, no remarkable physical capabilities. Their bones broke easily, their skin tore at the slightest provocation, and their internal organs could be damaged by the simplest impacts. The answer, the Dominion concluded, was luck and primitive cunning. Nothing more. "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human settlement." "Put it through." The holographic display shimmered, revealing a human female with graying hair and tired eyes. Her uniform bore the insignia of a colonial administrator, though it was torn and stained with what appeared to be hydraulic fluid. "This is Director Sarah Chen of New Geneva Colony," she said, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "I'm requesting terms for surrender." Zethkar leaned forward, savoring the moment. "Unconditional surrender, Director Chen. Your people will be processed for relocation to the labor worlds. Those with useful skills will be permitted to live." Chen's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "And the children?" "The young adapt quickly. They will make adequate servants." Behind Chen, Zethkar could see other humans moving about, engineers working frantically at control panels, soldiers checking weapons with practiced efficiency, civilians helping wherever they could. Such persistence in the face of inevitable defeat. How typically human. "I need time to consult with my people," Chen said. "You have 1 standard hour, Director. After that, we commence final bombardment." The transmission ended, and Zethkar settled, back in his command chair. The humans would surrender, they always did when faced with superior force. It was their greatest weakness. They valued individual lives over victory. What Zethkar didn't see were the subtle hand signals Chen had made during their conversation. What he didn't know was that New Geneva's engineers had spent the last 6 months secretly retrofitting the colony's geothermal power plant. What he couldn't have imagined was that the failing defensive grid was actually operating at full capacity, its energy readings deliberately masked. 53 minutes later, Chen opened communications again. "Commander Zethkar," she said, "we've reached our decision." "Excellent. Prepare for—" "We decline your offer." Zethkar's eyes narrowed. "Director, you misunderstand. This was not a negotiation. Surrender or face annihilation." Chen smiled then, and something in that expression made Zethkar's scales prickle with unease. "Commander, you've made the same mistake every predator makes when they see humans. You see weakness where there is actually strength. You see fragile flesh and assume a fragile spirit. Your bravado changes nothing. Begin bombardment." But as his weapons officer initiated the attack sequence, alerts began cascading across the tactical display. The human settlement's defensive shields hadn't just activated, they were operating at 347% of previously recorded capacity. Energy readings spiked beyond anything in the Dominion's databases. "Impossible," Zethkar hissed. "Their power grid cannot support those levels." "Sir!" The sensor operator's voice cracked with panic. Massive energy buildup detected beneath the colony. "The readings are— Sir, I think they've weaponized their geothermal plant." Chen's voice cut through the bridge chatter. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous, Commander? It's not our bodies. You're right about those. It's what we'll do when we have no other choice. We'll turn our own life support into a weapon. We'll sacrifice everything to protect what we love." The tactical display showed New Geneva's geothermal, plant overloading, and a carefully controlled cascade. Superheated plasma erupted from the planet's crust, channeled through the colony's power grid, and focused into a coherent energy beam that lanced upward through the atmosphere. Zethkar's flagship, designed to withstand conventional weapons, never had a chance. The beam punched through its shields like they were paper, coring through the ship's hull and detonating the main reactor. In the space of seconds, the pride of the Dominion fleet became expanding debris. But Chen wasn't finished. Across the planet, every human settlement the Dominion had thought pacified suddenly erupted in coordinated rebellion. Hidden weapons caches opened, sabotaged infrastructure failed catastrophically, and human resistance fighters, who had been gathering intelligence for months while playing the part of defeated colonists, struck with surgical precision. The Dominion's ground forces, spread thin across multiple continents, found themselves isolated and under attack by an enemy that seemed to appear from nowhere. These weren't the broken refugees they had expected. These were humans who had spent 18 months learning Dominion tactics, studying their technology, and planning their revenge. Captain Vexithal, commanding the Dominion's ground forces from Kepler 442b's southern continent, watched his carefully organized occupation collapse in real time. His communication with orbit had been severed when the humans destroyed his flagship. His supply lines were under constant attack. His troops were being picked off by human fighters who struck from hiding and melted away like ghosts. How? He demanded of his intelligence officer. How did we miss this level of organization? The officer, a veteran of dozens of conquest campaigns, could only shake his head. Sir, in every previous case, a defeated population lost the will to fight. We didn't account for this. This was the human capacity to endure, to plan, to hope even in the darkest circumstances. While the Dominion had seen surrender, the humans had been organizing. While the aliens had celebrated victory, their defeated enemies had been turning every setback into intelligence, every occupation into an opportunity for sabotage. 3 days later, the surviving Dominion forces evacuated Kepler 442b. They left behind nearly 70% of their invasion force and the wreckage of a fleet that had been considered invincible. In the ruins of New Geneva, Director Chen stood among her people, tired, bloodied, but unbroken. They had paid a terrible price for victory, but they had proven something important. Human flesh might be fragile, but the human spirit was harder than any armor the universe could forge. Word of the Kepler 442b uprising spread through the galaxy, like wildfire. Other conquered species who had accepted Dominion rule as inevitable began to whisper of rebellion. The humans had shown them something they had forgotten, that the will to fight could overcome any physical disadvantage. The Dominion would return, Chen knew. They would come with larger fleets, better